recording on stream.
Oh,
Sounds easy to me.
welcome back
It just
to
means
the
that we have to
Lost
come up with-
Ledgers.
Hi.
We just
Hello.
went live.
Did we?
And it's been a week since we were live.
Welcome to a week later.
I am Shawn. And that's Justin.
Hello.
And that's Zach. How you guys doing?
Good. I think you want to refresh your document.
Yo.
Oh yeah, probably.
I hung you.
Automatically refreshed.
I
Justin's
ate
hungry.
before the stream for once.
I just woke up for the second time today because I felt like crap, and that's why we're here
To make you
Because
feel like
today
crap too.
We're talking about cursed items, which is a great way to make a character feel like crap. Not a player. Lots of players tend to like having cursed items. Character, not as much. You know, it's also a
Can
very
confirm.
lightweight episode because it's not cursed magical items. Period. It's existing magic items with curses placed on them, as inspired by Zach's Boots of Valhalla when we did actual like fool items. So all I really need to talk about today is the curse and how that works with the actual item, if it does, and how that affects the way someone might play with it. I suspect this is going to be pretty fast, actually, because of that. Because we're not going to be... I don't know if we'll be talking about as much stuff as we normally would, but we'll see. Those Boots of Valhalla did generate a lot of talk, so we shall
Indeed.
see.
I should have just brought my cursed demon armor that I made you. I don't know why I didn't.
Fuck you.
Does,
Why would you give me PTSD about
does that count? Is it?
It was a modified curse.
Yeah, it was a modified.
I guess
version.
it wasn't like an item that doesn't have a curse that I gave a curse. It was a cursed
Yeah.
item already that I just changed the curse.
I mean, you made the
Yeah.
curse. You made it like an actual like piece of cursed of like actual piece of cursed gear. Because
It was cursed already.
Well, right, but like
It doesn't matter. Nobody knows what we're talking about. Let's go into these items.
On the screen, we have Adams, who unfortunately could not be here, but luckily we have Justin here, who was too much of a bitch to actually finish one.
hey,
Just one.
hey,
Just one
I
item.
couldn't come up with it.
He had an idea for one item and couldn't even finish that.
No, I could not.
He didn't pivot to another one. It's okay. I want to give Adam shit in a moment too after you read his fucking shit. But I figure I'd just I'd give you shit first. No, I'm just gonna give Adam shit right now.
Fine.
Adam fucking you notice that these items are called Heatsink and Horned Traitors. They're just cursed versions of existing items. He could have used the actual names. The reason he did that was that he could just write in the effect, oh, normal effects of this item, but with a curse, instead of like, actually typing it out. So I had to go and copy and paste that shit. So Adam, if you go back and read the fucking watch this episode, I'll fucking get you, kid. I'll fucking get you.
He'll do it. He's crazy.
But no, we can just get started instead of wasting so much time.
So I'll be in place of Adam here today.
You will. You do not have to read the entire effects of
gonna
the magical item. Just read the curses.
Okay. So the Heatsink, which my guess is
Flame tongue.
Yep, cursed version of a flame tongue. This item is cursed. Attuning to it curses you until you are targeted by a remove curse spell or similar magic. As long as you remain cursed, you are unwilling to part with the sword, keeping it within reach at all times. You also disadvantage on attack rolls with weapons other than this one, unless no foes within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear. While attuned to this weapon, you suffer the effects of extreme heat at all times, unless you are in an environment where you would normally suffer the effects of extreme cold. You do not suffer the effects of extreme cold unless temperature is below minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, you are vulnerable to fire damage. Okay. So this one's a little...
I like the silliness of you had disadvantage on attack or something else. Unless there's no enemies nearby, and then you're fine.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
guess it's so that way you could still like use like a ranged option if targets like further than 60 feet away.
yeah, this would be a real pain in the ass. Basically, I think pretty much the only effect that extreme heat does is that every hour maybe you get an exhaustion. Actually, not
Or
entirely sure.
you might have
Hmm.
to like make a roll. You might have to like make a check uh against exhaustion. Uh,
There are definitive rules for it in the in one of the books. I'm not sure if it's DMG or the player's handbook.
I think it'd be the DMG. I don't think it's in the PHB per se. I do like the caveat of just being vulnerable to fire damage. Um,
Yeah, it's gonna fuck you up. It's gonna fuck you up really easy.
yeah.
That is
Given
pretty
how
funny paired with that weapon. Just
given how common fire damage is, uh, I will say this gives me a little bit of reminiscence of a uh cursed or not necessarily a cursed item, but an item from Dragon Age Origins where it was it where it did fire damage and kind of like soaked the heat out of the air around it. But when you were holding it, you like it was extremely cold to the touch, like on the hilt. Uh and like it gave a ton of like stat boosts, but it did lower your cold resistance, which I thought is more ironic than if it would have lowered like fire resistance. What I'm saying is, I think this would have been more ironic if you would have been vulnerable to cold damage while holding this fucking hot sword.
yeah, but then it would have been a ripoff.
Would have it been though?
So, the effects of extreme heat are that
Without access to drinkable
yeah, if you
water.
don't have access to
That's
drinking
down to-
water, then you're actually unaffected. Or if you do have access, you're unaffected.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that, but it is. Every hour you make a save, and on the failed save you get exhaustion. But if you just have drinking water, then you're fine. One thing I will say is that, I think I'd probably prefer it if there were no caveat on the extreme cold. Because it's one thing for a DM, like a DM can just say a place has extreme cold without having to go into specifics how cold it is. And to be like, for the player to have to be like, yeah, but is it below 50 degrees? I think would just be pointlessly, like, I don't know. I just feel like it would add an unnecessary question. I feel like it'd make perfect sense if it just made you ignore all extreme cold, which in fact I think would give the player a reason to maybe keep the weapon, which are kind of my favorite kinds of curses.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Because it already basically does that. Most extreme temperatures don't go below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I think, well, that's not true. In the real world, I think Antarctica gets like I want to say negative 80 Fahrenheit. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so if
But-
you just make it that, and then you put them in an extreme cold biome, and then you throw a Remoraz at them, and then they're
Yeah,
vulnerable to heat.
then they're vulnerable. That'd be pretty funny. I mean, that's where you'd find a Remoraz, so you get pretty fucked. I do like the idea of it though, the flavor, which is like you just absorb heat around you too effectively. That's a really neat idea. It reminds me of my Phoenix that I made.
Yeah. The next one is the Horn of Traitors, which just appears to be the Horn of Valhalla, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
The curse for this item is that the berserkers become hostile to you and your companions once there are no other hostile creatures they can see.
So
I think this one's pretty funny.
The funniest thing about this one is that this is literally just like summon elemental.
Yeah.
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 It's just like, to make this magic item cursed to have, just make it like existing spells you can take.
Well, I think with the exception with that is I'm pretty certain with like summon elemental, it will only become hostile to you if you lose concentration.
Yes.
No, it'll become hostile to you when the spell ends, which
Is it when the
you lose
spell ends as
concentration.
well?
I'm pretty sure.
It might be. I just went
I
over all this.
thought it was when the spell ends.
I know it's when you lose concentration for sure.
And then I think
maybe it is just when you lose concentration. I'm not. I don't remember every spell. I especially don't remember the summon spells. Or the conjure spells, so I should say, not the summon spells. Summon spells are fine.
I do like it. It does feel almost like that's pretty much what the
It's not the summon spells, it's the conjure spell.
Yeah.
I like that the curse of this item is pretty much exactly the same as if you don't meet the requirement to use the magic item.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna point that out, is that like this curse already kind of exists on the horn, and as a DM, like you can just like give them a horn that they can't use if you want the exact same result, or I guess maybe not the exact same result.
Or better yet, you give them the horn to someone in the party who doesn't meet the requirement, and then it's like, ooh, shiny horn.
Yeah, you could do that exact same thing as the DM, and it will have a similar effect. Obviously the effect isn't exactly the same, because in this way they still work for you first, at least, and then they turn on you, which
would
funny.
be a shocking thing to discover. Like if you give them like this horn and you're like, here's how it works, and then like they use it and they have a crazy fight with these like enemies, and then at the end they're like, whoo, glad that's over, but it's really not.
Woo!
Yeah.
We summoned 25 berserkers to help us there, guys.
Would, depending on when they use this is an easy party kill.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if the party goes in full thinking that these things are gonna fight for them, and then they do, and like they're going all out, say like on a boss or like a big mob fight that takes a lot of their resources, and then these motherfuckers turn on them, depending on how many they summon, say you have the iron one, they're gonna get fucked up.
Well, also determine on how many like survive the encounter too, because it's possible that most of the berserkers get wiped out in a fight.
I don't know if I'd say. I guess it would depend on what they're fighting, because berserkers are CR2, which means they're not pushovers. Even against like a boss, if you have, what is that, 14 to 17, 18 berserkers, that's still a massive amount of action economy in your direction, because berserkers can attack with advantage. So like
true.
their bounded accuracy issue is a little bit like made up for in whether or not they can hit enemies that have high ACs.
That's true.
Now, if you're fighting a dragon probably fuck these guys up easy, because one, it could fly away, and then two, dragon's breath are all dead.
I do think this curse is funny. It has a range of funny to very not funny, depending on how many have survived after how difficult a fight was.
I will say, as someone who used I guess a knockoff version of Horn of Traitors in one of my one shots, where you guys discovered like a broken in caravan with a horn, and somebody blew into the horn and summoned all the fucking berserkers. Yeah, they almost fucked you guys up, and you guys were like,
yeah, we almost died. You were
like level
5 or 7, I can't remember which.
I think
You
you're
tend to like
7.
7, so I'm guessing it's 7.
Yeah, like 7 to 9, somewhere around that range.
Oh, it would have been 9.
Yeah, a good amount of berserkers against level 7 characters could be pretty deadly.
If you summoned this against one creature, like a big boss monster, that probably fewer of them will survive. But if you summon them against like another squadron of creatures, they'll probably, a good amount of them will probably make it out. Because with a big boss monster, they tend to have very powerful AoEs that will kill mooks pretty easily. Whereas versus like if you threw this against, let's say, the enemy has like a bunch of cultists, or not cultists, like I don't know, what's like a bad martial type of creature? I guess
Guards?
berserkers. What'd you say?
Guards?
You threw these
Guards?
berserkers against a bunch of berserkers.
Yeah, or if you threw them against guards, for instance, I think berserkers shit on guards, even if guards are CR2. That advantage is pretty rough.
So
This one really would definitely depend on the scenario, because if you like you summon the berserkers to like distract a group of people as you ran past them, would they then hunt you down after they killed those people?
I probably right.
I was gonna say it'd be kind of funny if they were hostile to any nearby creature. Like if they see no other hostile creatures.
I would probably prefer that. I think I'd prefer a curse that was like, yeah, you summon them, but then they'll just kind of attack anybody.
Well, not even that. Like, so they become hostile to all other creatures once they see that there are no hostile creatures.
Right. So they'll
near your
attack
party.
anybody.
Yes, after they've like done. Okay. I want to make. I was making sure we're on the same page. Fish on the same page, because that could lead to like something interesting. Like that could lead to like interesting scenarios where oh shit, we got a jailbreak. We need to break some people out of jail. What's the best way to fucking do that? Let's just summon a shit ton of berserkers to cause a distraction for the guards, and they, as we've established, they overwhelm the guards, and then they start beating the shit out of prisoners. Probably the prisoner that you are trying to escape or break out, I should say.
They're pretty funny. I do think this curse is pretty much like exactly the kind of curse that I don't know, this feels like the first thing you'd think of when you think of like a curse version of the form of Valhalla. Unlike the Flame Tug, I think the Flame Tug adds a lot more to like what the item does. I do feel like this one just kind of like, it's the Horn of Valhalla, but they attack everyone. I feel like that's just, especially since it's kind of part of the effect already, it does feel a little bit like this is the first thing you might think of.
This is how I feel about all of the curses that I came up with. Like, they were just like the first thing that I thought of, and I couldn't get any deeper than that.
I think I have a couple like that too. I think some items just kind of feel like they call for it in a way. Because like a lot of items have a reputation before you get them in the game. Like, players have a thought about them. So like when they get it and it's the opposite, it's a very simple but effective way of like subverting their expectations and fucking with them.
Yeah.
Why am I getting so many calls today?
Wow.
I get on average 1 call per like month. I've gotten 3 calls today.
Damn, someone's really trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
What an average.
Like,
but I agree with you, Shawn. Like, there's the bag of holding, and then I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head.
Bag of devouring.
Yes, then the bag of devouring, where it eats your shit instead. Like, that is a good.
It doesn't. No. It doesn't. You can still get your shit back. It's just that once you reach inside, you must make a save, or you are eaten by it. Quick note about that item. It's busted. It doesn't work as intended. So when you reach your hand inside, you make a save, and if you fail your save, you get sucked inside. Okay, it's not too bad so far because you can still crawl your way out. It says you can use your action to crawl your way out, but to reach into that and the item bag of holding, it would take an action to call for an item. So you've already used your action. Then the effect of the thing is that if a creature starts their turn there, they die. So it gives you this out that says if you use your action, I guess if you're a fighter, you can take advantage of it. You can use your action to crawl out. But because if you start their turn there, you die. You have no agency to get out. It is up to anybody else who saw you get devoured to get you out. So I think that's kind of odd. But
don't get devoured then.
But it does still work, just like a bag of holding. You can still like call things, I believe. It's just that you might get devoured.
That's brutal. Just instant kill.
Yeah, it is. It is very brutal. But Justin, do you want to
Jeez.
go ahead and
Just
read
looking at-
Adam's last one?
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. It's the Cape of Coward, which is I don't know off the top of my head the dimension
Cape of the
door.
Mountebank.
A creature whose breach you are leaving or entering with the dimension door can use this reaction to make an opportunity attack against you.
That's interesting.
Plain simple. The second that you appear or you're trying to leave, they just get
I like this
kind of
one.
free hit. Yeah,
I like this one because like the whole point of teleportation, if you want to use it in combat anyway, is to not be provoking attacks. And I feel like you would use this in like a way. If you ever use this in combat, you would probably use it to escape.
Yeah.
Or you're using it to catch up with someone.
I have kind of an issue with this one. It feels underwhelming, but also
It is underwhelming, yeah.
But also, like, how do you explain this curse to a player that has the item? Because they use it, and then you're like, oh, but this thing gets like an opportunity attack on you, and you're like, oh no, I used the spell Dimension Door, and you're like, well, no, the item's cursed though. You do.
Well, I mean,
you
could just still say like, well, that's not like.
It sounds like a quick argument between PC and DM.
That is true.
That's true.
I think he is right.
I think that's true, but I also think you could say along the lines of like, yes, but that's not why this creature can attack for opportunity on you.
Sure.
It's kind of. I think it's kind of like a quick way, and then it allows the character
to ask a question. I do like the other side of it, which is if you enter or if you're leaving from a dimension door way or entering with, I think he means like you teleport next to them is I think what he means by that.
Yeah.
That I think would be interesting because the player would be like, why the fuck am I getting an attack opportunity? It would seem kind of random.
Yeah, I think it is interesting, and I agree with your argument of like you could just say it's something else, and eventually you would like lead up to like knowing, oh, okay, this cloak or this, cloak for whatever reason just does this, like, but it still seems underwhelming because it's just an opportunity attack.
I think that's kind of what makes it. I don't think that Adam is going for a curse with this, which is like completely changing the way that it works. Because how often this would come up, I think, is very few and far between.
Yeah, you're gonna often be using Dimension Door, for like, kind of like quick access. Like, okay,
for exploration and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people will use Dimension Door for escaping if they need to. And that's pretty much the one main use it gets in combat. Which does make it interesting in that regard because this essentially nullifies the whole point.
Yeah, I guess it does, like, for that last minute, like, you're like, a lot of the times you're using it to, like, especially if you have this cape and you only can use it once, you're like, oh, I'm using this as a latch-ditch escape mechanism.
Yeah.
But you try to use it and then you get opportunity attack. So I guess I see if that's what he was meaning for it with this one. I
think it was. It's also kind of interesting, like, if you're someone that acquires this cape, you're fighting just some like thief or something, and you discover the they go to use Dimension Door, and your DM's like, okay, you get an attack of opportunity, and you're like, what? Why do I get that? I think it's kind of like an interesting thing that a player might think of, like, oh shit, was there something that I missed here?
I don't know if I would use it in that situation as a DM.
It is interesting because the thing that you're kind of spelling out here, Justin, is exactly the problem that Zach had originally. But it is an interesting conversation for the player to be like, no, teleportation doesn't provoke. And the DM being like, well, there's more to be known, my pal, about what's going on here. But the player,
adds questions of like, is it the person that's attacking me that has something
Yeah.
special, or like what's going? And then if it happens again while you're using this cape, you can start to like put it together. So I can see where you're coming from with that one. But like I said, I don't know if this is one that I would use as a DM. Like this would be more of one that I like gave to you guys or somebody, and then like you figured it out. I don't know if this is one I would use on a. I don't know if I would give my NPCs a cursed item that you're fighting, hoping that you took their cursed item.
Well, on that note, though, this would probably be one of the items I would give my NPCs. Just because
This could be, yeah.
It is effectively the same thing. So, like, I could see an NPC who had this item being like, "No, it's still worth it to have." So it makes sense that this would be one of those cursed magic items where it's like, this makes sense for the players to take it. Yeah, welcome. What is that? Ordinary Clover? I almost said Ordinary Lover. Yeah, we just like to bring stuff to here and discuss it live. It's just stuff that we made up. But we do like to discuss like what their implications in the campaign. Most magical items that are cursed, I'm probably not going to give to an NPC because I would think that the NPC would not want to have cursed items, just like the PCs wouldn't. This one, and potentially Flame Tug, however, I could see an NPC having, even after knowing the curse, because it might just seem worth it to them to get a free dimension door, or to be able to deal the extra fire damage and be resistant to cold environments. So,
I think on the note,
I think that makes this and Heatsink unique in that I could totally see an NPC holding this and the PC's getting their hand on it because of that, instead of me just giving it to them in like a horde or something.
Yeah, it'd also be kind of funny too, you know, as a PC fighting someone with a cursed flame tongue, where it's like, oh, I do like you like cast like burning hands or something like that on them. And it's like it appears to take more damage than you'd expect, and it's like, ha, that's kind of funny. That's ironic. That guy's vulnerable to fire damage, and then a PC picks up this dagger after the fight, or sword, whatever you use.
That would be neat because you'd be fighting the person they're dealing fire damage. So like the revelation that they're vulnerable to it would be fun to the PCs in the combat, and then one of them gets cursed in the same way. That would be fun. All right, well, I'm willing to go on and move on to Zach's magical items.
Sure.
I don't know if you can tell that these magic items are cursed.
So I started with the Sun Sword, same thing as everything Sun Sword related. My curse is any creature that starts its turn within the bright light takes 1d8 necrotic damage, and their max health is reduced by the same amount.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Jesus. Yeah, this is definitely not one of those curses where I'd be like, I want to keep using this sword, guys.
No.
Damn, that's fucked up.
Oh fuck.
That is neat though. Like it's almost like reverse sunlight.
Mm-hmm. Well, it still has all of the same effects as Sun Sword still. Like, so you get all of it. Like, it's a good sword. It does a lot of things.
It's
like,
a good sword, but it's a hard sell if I'm gonna party to be like, guys, it's a good sword though, right? Maybe if I gave them this sword during like a vampire arc, so like it's even more worth it to have.
Well, but aren't vampires and necrotic damage?
Sure, but they would still like there's still the sunlight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. My bad. I'm sorry.
So that would be a neat place to give someone this sword, just so there would be like a motivation to keep it. But at the moment this started dealing damage, if my party member had this, like, the moment you turned on that sword, we started having our life drained. So like, can you get rid of that?
That would make for like a pretty feels bad first time that you pull the sword out, because you're like, oh dude, guys, I got this sun sword, it's so fucking awesome. I've wanted one.
You could use this like if a player was really desperate for a sun sword, I could see an argument if maybe that like they were the barbarian or like maybe an Aasimar or some other thing that's resistant to necrotic, and then they're like, yeah, but guys, if you just aren't within my bright light, like I can, just stay away 15 feet of me, and
they can make it smaller,
I
up to 10 feet, so they can make it like just a 10 feet radius.
Oh
like,
yeah,
just
I forgot you could control it.
Yeah.
You could
I think there could be an argument here.
Yeah, imagine
if the player was willing to take the 1d8 necrotic damage each turn, that is a lot of fucking damage to lose your max health with.
Yeah, I think the damage might be too high looking at it now.
No. That's fine. I think a D8's fine. Imagine a paladin with the aura of life spell going. So they're going to be resistant to damage, right? But importantly, their max HP isn't going down, along with any allies that have been caught in the crossfire with them. Now, granted, you have to concentrate on it. You
probably have to make that concentration check every turn.
You will probably make that concentration check every turn. As long as barring that ones.
Plus other things hitting you though.
Right. I mean that's true with any concentration spell. But I think there is an interesting character choice right there that could happen for it's like my paladin really likes this sun sword, really wants to make it work. He's gonna keep sacrificing his 4th level spell slots to use Aura of Life, so that way his teammates don't get affected too harshly by this.
That is a I feel like that would be a big ask of the paladin. Like,
well, right, but that's
of the paladin to themselves, even to be like, yeah, I keep using this. All I gotta do is use Aura of Life, and then it's all okay. Like, I just gotta keep on expending my spell slots on that one spell for it to be worth it. And then but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a little bit of bias from giving you guys the Sun Sword in my campaign and finding out just how strong it was.
It is really that +2 attack damage is crazy, and that radiant damage, especially if it's undead. It's a really good sword. I think it is curious to me that's a rare item with a +2 bonus.
Yeah.
And then dealing radiant damage to the slap. It's a pretty huge thing. Aren't weapons normally +1, +2, +3 rare, very rare legendary?
Let me
I'm almost certain that's the case. So that's strange that this is actually, I never really noticed that. It's strange that this is rare. Really throws you off as a DM when you roll tables. And you're like, here's this rare item. Shouldn't be a big deal. Oh, it's +2 and deals radiant and twice as much to undead? Okay.
Yeah, I felt like I got tricked by this weapon when I gave it to you guys.
So
I was like, this is cool. Now you do radiant damage? Fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, +1, +2, +3 go uncommon, rare, very rare. So
okay. Sure.
With the other effects, it felt like it bumps it up, but
the radiant damage is huge.
Yeah, because you immediately disregard nearly everything in the game that is resistant or immune to slashing damage. Like, regardless if it's magical or not magical.
It would be magical otherwise, so like magical piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning is the least resisted damage type in the game, unless you're fighting barbarians or Sorrowsworn. That's not actually super common to just be flat resistant to those damage types. But
hey, it's auto damage on enemies that are around you.
True.
Yeah, that is nice. That auto necrotic damage. It does go against because the sword is actually damage against undead, and they'd probably be resistant to that. So it's like you're either doing really the same against undead or other creatures, which is kind of funny. But I've been convinced. I think there is an argument that a player could make to keep this weapon. +2 is rare. That doesn't seem right.
Look at the DMG
are massive in 5e.
But we can move on to my next one if you guys didn't have any other quarrels with that. Ring of Evasion cursed. Whenever a charge is used, your speed is reduced by 5 until it is recharged.
I think that's neat. That's a neat little thing.
Cool.
It's like trading off some of your agility for.
That's what
the
a lot of these
evasion.
were for me, was trade-offs, which you know that I like to do.
I mean, that's fine. I think this is definitely good.
This is
Simple.
definitely a lot more appetizing to a player. Maybe even reduce speed by 10. I'm assuming your intention is that every time you charge it stacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whenever a charge is used, so I
guess 10
can
might
maybe
be too much because
10
you could
felt like
you'd
too
be
much. I didn't want to
0.
put somebody at 0, but I did want it to be like it felt impactful. So you have 3
That
charges.
would bring up some very like interesting like scenarios though, for where their speed gets dropped to 0, for where they like really have to decide like, is it worth it for me to for me to expect to like succeed on the saving throw here.
It's almost
It-
never worth it though because having 0 speed.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, my mistake. My mistake. I was under the assumption of evasion worked like evasion, in terms of like you can expend like, I thought it was you could
No.
expend like one of the charges, for where if you fail
to be
you
like
take half.
evasion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just you automatically succeed.
Okay. Then never mind. I think sticking with 5 feet is fine.
Your 10 feet thing has merit, I think, in general. Just I
Yeah.
didn't want this curse to be that harsh. I just wanted it. This was more of a light curse, I felt like.
So
you could do reduce by 10 to a minimum of 5. That way it affects.
Yeah.
It'll affect all races the same, and it'll make it more effective against creatures that have like a fly speed. Because if you cast fly before you make any evasion checks, then even if I use this 3 times, I still have 45 feet of movement. Whereas if I use it 3 times with a 10, I'd have 30 feet of movement for my fly speed.
It does also kind of help balance it out around. It kind of like helps. It kind of helps with like with smaller races too, because assuming I have two like almost of the exact same characters, but one of them's like a half orc and the other one is a gnome. Like, I might not be as inclined to take it as a gnome with how it is compared to like the half orc. I don't know.
I don't know if
I
that
did a bad
5 feet
job
is
of
making that much of a difference. It does suck to be like a dwarf or a gnome or a halfling and only have 25 feet, and you gotta keep reminding yourself that because 30 is like the standard. But I don't know if this ring really affects small races more. Obviously, I think it objectively might not, just because like you're still losing as much movement, and movement's kind of linear. Like for instance, if I have 25 feet of movement versus 30 feet of movement, it's not like I can like do twice of something. Like there's no like non-linear comparison, I guess. You'd be losing a bigger portion of your movement, sure, but like the proportion of your movement isn't as important in the game.
Yeah, I'm still not sure I really wanted to make this that big of a curse with the 10 feet. I kind of like this as just a 5 feet one where you're definitely like feeling the impact.
Yeah.
And it's not like insanely detrimental. So you're still like liking the effect, but like every time you use it, you're like, but now my speed's reduced. I know that, and like I can't move as far. I don't want it to be like, I don't know. This curse wasn't supposed to be as in my eyes as like big as having you go all the way down to like 5 or no movement.
Yeah, not every curse has to end you. Not every curse has to be necrotic damage or return.
Not every curse has to force you to have armor stay on you permanently unless you kill 100 humanoids. Am I still salty about this? Yes.
I'll bring it back. My next curse.
Don't you fucking dare.
Mantle of Spell Resistance. The curse is you have disadvantage on all non-spell related saving throws while you wear this cloak.
That's so juicy. That's so fucking juicy.
I can see what you mean by like it fills the gap, right?
I didn't know if there was a better way to word this. It's like any saving throw you make that's against a spell, you have advantage on, but any other saving throw you'd make that isn't spell related, you have disadvantage on.
That's not even just like just physical things, because that
No,
could
it would be
also
like anything like insight, perception, or no, those are checks, not saving.
well what I meant by that is like that's still like magical effects, right? Like if you
Yeah,
go
yeah, I
to,
would lose. Yeah,
so I mean that's
Just
so I mean
not
that's pretty
spells specifically.
yeah, so I think that's pretty fucking cool. Uh
That's
but
pretty
also
gnarly. 'Cause
but also
there's a lot of
it's brutal.
badass magical effects that monsters have that would fuck you up that aren't spells.
yeah, like dragons, fright, like terrifying presence.
That I wouldn't call that magical, but it is the save.
Yeah.
Their dragon's breath is magical.
Well, that's true, yeah. You get double
Dragon's breath's
fucked.
magical. Fucking Medusa's like petrifying gaze is
Ooh.
magical. Stuff like
Basilisk,
that.
petrifying gaze.
Yeah, people like the Medusa though, you know.
Yeah, I know.
There
So
might
there's
be a better way
tons
to-
of effects this would fuck you up with. I think you would find out that you are cursed very quickly.
Mhm.
But
There might be a better way to word that. I just wasn't
This
sure
makes me-
what it was.
it'd probably be
I
like
just also-
you have disadvantage on all saving throws that you make against spells. But yeah, that's actually pretty similar. Not similar, I guess, but like
Oh my
the
God!
idea behind it is very similar to something else that I did, where it's like you get the exact inverse as well.
You have
Yeah.
disadvantage on death saving throws with this thing.
Oh, it's true, you do. Oof.
Ooh.
I think this is once
I
I
didn't
find out
think of
this is cursed, I'm getting rid of it. There's no convincing me that saves against spells is worth it for
I don't know.
disadvantage and everything else.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, it's not. I don't even know why you're even thinking about it. It's not worth it. Especially with the caveat that you have disadvantage on fucking death saves. It's not worth it. But it is gnarly until you figure out what the fuck's going on. Because once the DM's like, you have disadvantage, it's like, what?
Why?
Why is that?
I would.
Please
I would.
explain, DM.
I would also. I would also like for where like, if a creature's like trying to like, I don't know, like scale a mountain or some shit, and they have to make a saving throw, and it's at disadvantage, or just, they could just possibly think, if it depending on like the character and the class, they could just be like, oh shit, I guess my character's like kind of a weak little bitch when it comes to like climbing up a mountain, so I guess it would make sense that I have disadvantage here. Like maybe they like self-explain something to them like once or twice before they fully realize, oh no, it's this fucking mantle.
Is that what players do? I feel like a player would be more like, why do I have this disadvantage? If the DM
I don't
doesn't
know.
explain the circumstances, like, even when I give you guys disadvantage and stuff like that, I think the circumstances are clear why I'm getting disadvantage. If the DM is giving disadvantage and the circumstances aren't clear, I tend to question it. I'm like, wait, what? At the very least, I'll be like, wait, what? Like,
All right.
so I
Fair
don't know.
enough.
I don't know if it's a player tendency to just self-rationalize your own disadvantage. I think most players are surprised when they don't expect it.
I think Justin's just predetermined to like thinking that he has
Listen.
bad luck.
No,
Like-
no. Listen, when you are known as the person to always die in your in the campaigns, like you just kind of get used to getting disadvantaged randomly. Yeah, this is probably it. This is probably where my character dies.
I've never given you disadvantage for dying. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not saying that you've given me disadvantage for dying. I'm just saying that,
Why
my
would
character-
dying make you more like accepting of having disadvantage? That doesn't make any sense. You're making
I'm
no
dying.
sense right
Yeah,
now.
I got disadvantage. He's just so used
I
to
get it. I've
kicking
died 4
himself
times
out.
at
You're like,
disadvantage.
I'm so,
I deserve this. You're right.
I,
Please give me more, DM.
I like.
it's just like
How many characters should I go through this campaign? Let's go.
All right. I'm willing to move on to the last few here.
Yeah,
So I had 4. So
get it.
my first one was the Circlet of Blasting, which is the one that you shoot Scorching Rays. This circle is cursed. The circlet has 1d4 charges. Each time a ray has fired from this orb and misses, the circlet gains a charge. When the circle accumulates 10 charges, a fireball spell is cast without components at 3rd level centered on yourself. So basically, it's like It's like a Sparky Sparky Boom Man from
Centered on yourself.
Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every 10 times you miss, I probably should add some verbiage that it reaccumulates, but I think once the first fireball drops, the player's going to be pretty motivated to be like, wait, what?
Yo, I don't know. I'm keeping this even if I know the curse 100%.
That's wild. That's brave of you.
Dude, listen. I get this thing charged up, right? If I'm like... Oh, wait, wait. Do you have to be able to know how to cast spells to use this item or no?
No, you do not.
So I'm like a barbarian, right? Or I'm a fighter, and it's like I'm in the thickest shit,
right?
And I have this thing like almost fully charged, and I just fucking use this at point blank range when I'm surrounded, and I miss one of them. Yeah, and I
guess
miss.
It's fair.
It's like, baby, I am the bomb. I would fucking love to do that at least one time with this item.
Oh, so is the initial 1d4 charge is just how many it starts with, but close to 10?
Yeah, because for a lot of magical items that have attunement, they have like a random like, oh, this starts with this many charges, because it's supposed to be like anybody could pick up and use it. So presumably people have used it in the past.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But I need verbiage in here that resets it. Once the fireball's cast, it resets to 0. But other than that, yeah. I just like the idea of like firing them, not knowing it's coming, and then just blowing up. Like, because that would narrate as a DM as the circle itself, like expending the fire, so people know where it's coming from. But I think it'd be really funny.
That would be.
It could be deadly, but it'd be really funny.
Listen. The fucking wild magic sorcerer has a chance of just killing themselves with the very first spell they ever cast in a campaign. So you know what?
It's very true. I did take this straight from the fireball wording. At least it took. Well, that's not true. A lot of the wording I took from the wild magic. But I did like the idea of a circle of blasting that has its wires crossed or something. Like maybe it's damaged and it has this effect.
Kind of a fun note off of that, actually. You could in a campaign just make, if someone has this item, you could make it curse that way. A character gets damaged, gets like hit by something, and it fucks with the circlet. They can make like an Arcana check. They can make like this would give them like this person would be able to like say maybe make a check to determine like, oh shit, I don't know if I want to use this anymore, but you could find this item, just like surrounded by ash. Find it just like there's just ash all around it. You're like, weird. You might think
you know what we've learned, that even if you have a magic item that is surrounded by a bunch of dead bodies, players will still take it.
Yes.
If you've ever played King of Horrors, you probably know that to be true. So, but that would be a nice touch of foreshadowing, is just have them have just ash around it, or like burnt skeletons or something.
Yeah,
I like this one.
What'd you say?
I just accidentally read ahead for Cloak of Displacement. What the fuck is wrong with you, Shawn?
So Cloak of Displacement. Cloak of Displacement makes you give disadvantage on attacks until you take damage, and then it turns off for a turn. The curse on this is, while it's turned off, all other creatures are heavily obscured from you. So eventually, it essentially blinds you while the thing is off. So you're either giving disadvantage or you're gonna have disadvantage.
Were you even able to see them? I thought you can't target a heavily obscured creature.
I hate this.
I mean, you'd still be able to like target things. You just can't do things that need you to see them. You can still attack things you can't see.
That's true, I guess. Yeah. Fuck off, Shawn. This is disgusting. Right as Sid gets back, Sid, look at what Shawn's doing to Anura's cloak. This is so fucked up.
Well, Sid's here apparently. He says, "Hello, I have food."
I hate this.
Fuck off. I hate this so much. This is definitely,
I feel like, in the same vein as the spell resistance cloak that I made.
Yep, that's
I-
exactly what I was saying. Is I feel like one
Yeah.
of my items is very similar and like the idea behind it, where it just kind of inverts the situation.
Yeah.
But it's only when it's off, so it's only for a round. You just don't get hit, dummy.
Don't get hit forehead, yeah.
While you're blinded. This is this is my this is the idea of trade-offs that I love, and I think trade-offs work really well with cursed items and make it pretty interesting and fun.
Yeah, I still
This is
like. This would be a decent item to give like a low level party. It wouldn't be busted.
Yeah.
And I feel like anybody who has this might be willing to take that risk, especially if they're a close fighter. A spell cast should be a harder sell, just because like it'd be harder to cast any of your spells when you're blind. But if you're like the barbarian and you could give yourself advantage anyway, fuck it. If they're heavily obscured for me, I have disadvantage and whatever. I'm just gonna swing away with reckless attack and I'm fine.
Yeah, and I think you're right about like giving this to like a lower level party too, because especially if you're giving them like cursed items, something like this where it's like this item is really good. If you're able to get this curse off of it, it's amazing. And in the meantime, it might still be useful. Like,
yeah, it'd be one of those items where it's like it'd be kind of like your Sunblade, where it's like this is badass, but can we get the curse off of it? Then it would be even more badass. And I think it'll make the items feel more valuable to the players as well, because they put the effort in to try and get it.
yeah,
Because it essentially creates a quest for them, where it's like, we have this badass item, it's just got this one little flaw.
It's got a little flaw. It
And then once
sucks
the
the
players
life out of
invest
it.
themselves in that item, it there's more value to it for the party than just, oh, I found a Sunblade and a Horde and it's a good item, but once I find something that's better, I'm going to pass it up.
yeah.
Maybe if they have a Sunblade and they get the necrotic damage off, it's like, this is my Sunblade. I worked for this Sunblade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Feels nicer.
It is a shame that the curse system in 5th edition isn't like it's very like all or nothing, right? It's either like, hey, you can remove it with the remove curse system of magic, or you can remove it with wish and nothing else.
You can, as a DM,
Yeah, of course,
maneuver around that, and I think you can just like put things in the descriptions of curses like this can't be removed by the remove curse spell, and then as a DM you can put in like, oh, a quest where you hear about this person who knows how to get rid of curses using a different method, and like you have to go to them, and there's ways to get around that, I think.
Right. It's just a real shame that there isn't like a system in place for that already. Like, so that way a DM could have like a place to reference like a table like that, where it's like, okay, what are some possibilities, for getting rid of a curse? It's like, oh, they have to go find like a rare like herb, or they have to get a monster part. Like, there isn't like a system like that in place for curses.
Yeah, I think it would be nice. I don't know if the DMG has anything that says like a curse can be removed by the move curse, or maybe you could create a little adventure for them to get rid of it. That'd be a neat little thing that they have. I don't really feel like going to check. Sid did say in the chat though that he definitely would have used this up until maybe 2 levels ago, which is pretty funny to me, because this would have been a really funny item to give Sid, because that damn cloak has fucked me up. It's less and less of a problem because maybe this is why Sid feels like it's less valuable. It's just creatures can see through it now.
Cursed items has like the fucking smallest like paragraph, and that's all they say about it.
These next 2 items that I've made, I feel are the funniest to me. So, Oil of Sharpness. The way Oil of Sharpness normally works is that you put it on an item, and it gives a +3 bonus to attack and damage rolls for an hour. The curse. Using this oil is cursedly slippery, and a creature becomes cursed to slip and fall if it applies this oil and or makes an attack with a weapon or piece of ammunition which has been oiled. Until the sharpening effects of the oil subside, at the end of the cursed creature's turn, it must succeed in a DC 18 dex save or fall prone. So every turn they're slipping and sliding, which I find hilarious.
That is a great, hilarious item.
Oh god. God.
Like, play wise, it doesn't have all that much of an effect. Like, it would be annoying, like having your movement speed halved all the time, especially if you are falling. But But it's
Just
definitely still a +3. So like,
just imagine,
Yeah.
just imagine you're someone with like a shitty fucking like deck save, right? And with multi attack, and you and you fail to save on both of your attacks. So you fucking make your first attack fall. You're like, okay, that sucks. I get up and I make another attack, and then you fall again.
As a note, every class that has extra attack is good at deck saves. Every single one.
yeah.
Barbarian has advantage. Fighter has proficiency. Ranger has proficiency. Paladin has aura of protection. Monk has proficiency and probably a high dex. Rogue has proficiency and evasion, but that's doesn't really count. And is that all? Is there only 6?
I would argue that Warlock potentially could, like a Hexblade. If you give this to a Hexblade, you fucking they would use
any
it.
spellcaster would probably have an issue, except for the half-casters.
I think the Barbarian is still the one most prone to failing this. So even with advantage, it's still they're probably gonna have to roll really high.
I mean,
Like
it depends on the
14.
barbarian. Some barbarians might put a focus, like a little bit of because barbarians are mad, and one of their AC is determined with their dex. So some might focus that, but yeah, barbarian's probably the one with the least chances.
This is good until you get my cursed spell resistance cloak on. Disadvantage.
You always have disadvantage on the.
Also,
no, technically this. Oh no, this would be a magical effect, not a spell effect. So yeah.
Shawn, I actually fighters are proficient in strength con, I believe, not strength dex.
Oh, you're probably right. I thought it was.
But they do get it. But they do get indomitable.
They do get indomitable, which is garbage. So you're right.
I do like even if it is the case that the martial classes are good at deck saves, this is still like definitely the item where you're like, this is still good, especially because I'm not falling this often because I'm good at it. But this could lead to that point where you're like, I've been using this the whole time because it doesn't bother me that much, but it could really fuck you at some point.
Well, I will say,
it could.
the thing too about this is you are probably going to only get like 1 or 2 like oil of sharpness, like this cursed version of it, because you're probably you might unless you find like a stash of this shit, like a giant stash of it, you are probably only going to run into a couple of these, unless you buy from a really shady fucking like vendor.
I like the idea of there being a stash of this version.
I mean, I don't know. I imagine that's something.
It would be interesting. Let's say you have 2 nations warring, right? And one nation has a mage, a mage that's like a mage commander, and that mage is like, I have an idea. We're going to transport a cart of oil of sharpness to one of our battalions.
Yeah,
and we're going to make that seem like it's supposed to be a secret. Yeah. So when the enemy comes, they can come and steal all the oil of sharpness.
Or maybe they're like, we're gonna sell like this wagon full of oil of sharpness to them. We're gonna create like a whole like merchant or some shit like that from another country, like neighboring country or continent. I think
that would be really funny.
There's a lot of fun ways you could, because I think to what your point, Zach, honestly, I don't think no matter how much I'm falling with this, I'm still probably going to apply this oil every single time.
Not about every time, but
I absolutely would apply.
Well, to be fair,
if you have like a huge stash of it, sure, but like if it's only like you have this for like,
yeah, it's a one-time use.
Only use the +3 for like important thing.
Yeah. So it is one-time use, so you'd have to have a bunch of them before you even use it more. But
it would be something where I'd probably give them multiple of this one because it is cursed.
True.
So
true.
I'd probably give them
away more
3
of
to
this
5 or something.
Yeah, you can definitely give away more of this than regular oil of sharpness, because regular oil of sharpness, just handing that out would break your game.
That actually is kind of a bit of a funny encounter, right? You have a merchant who is upfront about the curse for this. It's like, all right, listen, this is it's really good. It's really strong. I wasn't quite able to work out this kink that I have with it for where, when you attack with, whenever you're using the weapon, the oil kind of gets on you and you might fall quite a bit, but it's really good. Like, trust me on this. It's you won't find anybody like me who's selling this much of it. Like, I think there's I think this, out of all the magical items we've done so far, has the room for the most NPC like merit or like kind of plot hook for it.
I don't know if that's true at all,
I'm
but
not sure. Yeah. I think
even
Depends.
even for the one-off opportunity of this item, this is a cursed item that will be used.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it, and it could fuck you, but it's still worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is rough if you do fall prone, because you'd be prone for the entire enemy's turn. They could take advantage of that, but if you just make your save, it's not even a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I do like the idea. So the next one is the Wand of Secrets.
I said,
can I use a towel to get advantage in the save? Sure. I'll say I make a ruling about that. What if you use a towel for like?
That's like bonus action. You have to use a towel to wipe yourself off.
Yeah. Just choose your bonus action every turn. But anyway, Wand of Secrets. So normally the Wand of Secrets, you use the wand and it will tell you if there's a secret door or trap within 30 feet of you. Nice and perfect. Curse. This wand is cursed, and when you expend a charge of this wand, the curse extends to you momentarily. You must immediately verbally reveal a secret you have or know. You speak the secret at a tone, at a tone that any creature within 60 feet of you can hear, and it must be a secret that you believe at least one creature that can hear you doesn't know. You must reveal the secret which would provoke the largest reaction from the creatures around you.
Brutal.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think this would be a much more fun curse on a different more useful magical item. But it was the Wand of Secrets, so I was like, it fits this.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a great early game cursed item to give a party that's still getting used to each other and stuff like that too.
Yeah, this would be it's a good wand for like RP building with the party. Mm-hmm. It's like it's sort of hardly a curse in that way. But if like you're the edgy rogue character who's meant to find traps, then maybe you got some edgy secrets to share that will provoke some very large reactions to a party really early on. There are some family. Yeah, there are some backstories where this will really this will really affect the party's opinion, like first opinions of you. Like you could trick an NPC to use it. Yeah, it doesn't take attunement, so you can make an NPC like, hey, use this wand, and if you ever feel like there's any secret doors around, you can use it to find them. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be helpful. And they use it, and then boom. That's a very tricky thing.
Yeah,
that's a very smart use of this item.
You could
save. It just happens.
You could really determine like if someone that you could really see if like someone that you're like like an NPC that you're like going through a dungeon with, or like like, hey, listen, I need help. Like, my son was kidnapped. You could really find out, like, are you actually like on our side? Like, are you like, are we doing something good here, or are you like tricking us?
Yeah. One thing with that in mind, I think maybe I would do is maybe for the last part, you must reveal a secret which provokes the largest reaction. Make a save from that part. Because I actually didn't think of that possibility. And I think that would be a little too game breaking, but if you make it a save, there's still a chance that they'll drop something very bad. Hey, Adam's in the chat.
Hey, Adam, Shawn has some stern words for you.
How do we like your items? Wouldn't you like to know?
You lazy piece of shit. You couldn't have copy and pasted some magical effects, so I didn't have to go and do it myself, which took me like 15 minutes because this one has a fucking table attached to it. I'm going to wait until you respond. Okay, LOL, that's what I thought.
That's all? That's all?
I just tuned in so he didn't see them. Yeah, they're I liked Heatsink quite a bit. My only thought was that maybe you don't need the caveat of not negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just because like I don't know, it feels unnecessary. Just make it so it works at extreme hold, and that makes it more valuable to maybe use later. But yeah, we thought they were, everybody hit some pretty, like, I would say, first thought curses, as well as some pretty interesting creative ones that, when you actually think about it, are pretty fucked up and interesting. But yeah, I for this one of secrets, I think I would add a save with further thought for that, just for that last bit. You still reveal a secret against your will no matter what. I don't think it's fine, just because it can be used by the PCs in a very.
I think that's fair to add the DC.
Oh, you said that. I thought you said it was fine.
No.
What would you? What type of save would you make? Would you make a wisdom save or a charisma save?
Charisma.
Probably charisma. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's a tough. That's definitely on the border for me between wisdom and charisma, but probably charisma. Just because it's facility affecting the way that you present yourself.
I like the idea of this one, if not for just the original way that you would find out this curse. Like, you guys would be using it, and suddenly the person using it would immediately be saying something, and then they'd be like, like, why'd you just say that to us?
that would be really funny. I love the idea of this forcing those kind of interactions. I was mostly happy with mine. I felt less negative about mine than everybody else seemed about theirs, even though I liked everybody else's.
Getting into mine, I don't think they're as bad as I was thinking.
We will say that, Adam, yours probably had the most gripes that we had.
Only because you weren't here. We knew
maybe, maybe it's because you didn't get a chance to explain your reasoning on them and stuff as well. But
we knew we could shit on them because you weren't here to properly defend yourself.
So we got a couple of extra minutes, Justin. Do you want to explain what curse it was you just could not get on paper?
Maybe we could just workshop it together here and figure it out.
Sure. It was a curse for a belt of Dwarvenkind.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much what the effects of it were going to be was that when you got below half of your maximum HP, you would essentially enter into like a frenzied state where you would not be able to determine like the difference between friendly and hostile characters. I wanted to have like some type of effect, something about like charmed and frightened or something along those lines. I think I probably put way more thought into it than I thought. Like, I thought there needed to be more to it than
you couldn't put this in words.
What if you just
right now?
What if you just attack?
I felt like there wasn't. I felt like that. No, I wanted it to be like I wanted it to be like anyone. Sort of like kind of the stereotypical like dwarven like berserker for like kind of like lose like I don't know.
Is that stereotypical for dwarves? I'm not familiar with the dwarven berserker stereotype.
That might be more from like from like.
Was it like a Dragon Age thing?
There was something in Dragon Age like that, for where like in the first game, you could get the berserker subclass by befriending your dwarven berserker. I think also like Gimli's usually. I think a lot of people. I think maybe I just also associate Gimli with like being like. I don't know. I guess like really like warrior berserker, but it wasn't that I couldn't put it into words. It's
I don't
just
really see Gimli that way. I don't know. Gimli. I don't know. Gimli. He's a warrior. Like, he likes fighting, but like I don't know if I'd put him like the berserker. Like, when I think berserker, I'm thinking like the fucking orcs that run with the torch at fucking Helm's Deep. Like, that like have no regard for the safety of themselves or others. Like, they're just fucking in it, you know.
That's fair.
I don't get that vibe from.
It wasn't that I couldn't like write it down. It was just I felt dissatisfied with it. Because I felt like I was like, I was like, this is it. Like, I kind of want to have like more things like happen. Curse. I wanted like, I wanted.
It's a pretty big curse. I don't know.
You know, to be fair, I feel you on that one. That's kind of how I felt with a lot of my curses making them. Like I felt like I wanted there to be more, but I just put a couple down. Uh, but I think that's a totally fine curse. Like they enter a rage when you're below 50% health. All creatures around them become hostile. You're immune to charmed and frightened effect during this duration. Is a good enough curse.
It's good, and it's another one of those curses where I feel like a player would definitely argue for it. Like, look, if I'm below half, you can just heal me, then I won't be berserking anymore. Perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out like, well, yeah, there's that like caveat there then in order to like kind of get.
But
like,
also,
fix
like,
it.
while I am berserked, if I'm by the enemy, I'm gonna attack. I'm not gonna run and attack
Yeah.
you guys versus the enemy. Like,
Yeah.
so like I could totally see a
and you
player like
can-
justifying it.
You can even add the caveat, like while berserk, you have advantage on all attacks, or something like they're a deadly berserker in a rage,
Yeah.
so like they are gonna hurt their teammates as well. And if you're thinking like you wanted more to a curse than that, like you kind of don't need to. You have to be careful with curses. You don't want to
Yeah.
make them too
Yeah,
strong or deadly.
I think it's because I think it's I don't know if it's just because I hold like the Belt of Dwarvenkind as like a really good magical item that I think
I mean, because it
If-
is.
like for me it's like one of those items where it's like
There's a lot of shit.
I think any and all classes should like get it because it's just so fucking good.
Oh,
It's
you're
a
trying to make an
dwarven,
effect that would be
amazing.
like more useful to like spellcasters then?
No. I was trying to come up with something that would just like make you I don't know. I guess I was devaluing how strong I thought the curse was. I was like under the impression that maybe this is just kind of like a weak curse.
I mean, automatically getting immunity to Charmed and Frightened is actually pretty good. Let's say you're wearing this Dwarven Belt of Kind and a vampire has charmed you to fight for them, right? And our party knocks you down to half HP, and suddenly you're immune to the vampire's charm, and you turn. Well, you wouldn't turn in that instance; you still attack them. But if your party knows it's coming, they can take advantage of that and like turn you against the vampire's expectations.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You're also like, I don't know, immunity to charm and frightened is pretty decent. But if you also give them advantage on attacks and maybe advantage on
Yeah, I
attacks
think that's
against
good.
them, like
Yeah.
innate
Advantage
weapons
on attacks against them, or
Yeah.
like they just take 5 damage each turn while under half health while berserking.
something like that. I'd probably do the advantage thing just because it would.
Yeah. I think the distinct is you have advantage on all attack rolls, and all attack rolls against you have advantage.
Yeah, you're
That's
just
probably
like
awesome.
you're just like
On all
blood
D20 rolls.
frenzy.
No,
On all D20 rolls, Jesus.
we're not trying to make
I
geeky.
want the berserker to charm persuasion somebody.
By the way, apparently Tegan said, yeah, but fuck that guy about that dwarf you're talking about in Dragon Age.
Ogren is fucking awesome, dude. All right, he's a lovable goof that might have a drinking problem, but you know what? You can change. You can change him.
This
You
sounds
can
like
help.
the most. He's a berserker, lovable goof with a drink. This sounds like the most stereotypical, like, barbarian-esque character I've ever heard.
Except he wears full armor.
You know,
Hey, barbarians can wear armor.
True.
so I think we were successful today, if not a little dissatisfied from I feel you on the fact that I felt like I just wanted more from my curses, but I feel like you can't always get more from your curses.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to make them too strong, and if you're gonna make a very strong cursed item, then you're going to be putting it on a very, very strong item. The strength of the curse is definitely going to depend on the item that you put it on. So
Yeah.
maybe if I had
Another-
looked at more legendary items and like decided to work on those ones, it could have been
I
higher
thought
curses. But
I thought everybody was gonna do like legendary items, so I was like, I'm gonna do some like uncommons, some rare, some very rare. I was like, I thought everybody else was gonna be like, what if the Holy Avenger made you evil? I'm glad nobody resorted to that. Like, I'm glad nobody.
I looked at a few of the legendary items and I was like, I can't really come up with good curses for some of these. Like, I looked at the Holy
I
Avenger
could
and I was like,
see that.
I think also it's better to have kind of like these low level item curses, because I think it's much more interesting at lower levels for some of these.
The
Or at
players
least-
also have less for lower level items. Players have less ability to like circumvent the curse as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which interesting.
I
Definitely, if you can
prefer
put a
low level
curse-
item curses because they could be innocuous and fun, kind of like the
Yeah.
secrets one, as opposed to just diminishing.
I think like the first 2, maybe 3 tiers of play is probably like the best area for cursed items. And then like the last tier of play, dependent on the scenario, for where it's like, hey, this cursed item is really powerful, but it's got a really fucked up curse. But this might be something that you have to use in order to like fight the BBEG, or this is a key, like this is like a very
The
essential
One
like.
Ring.
Well,
No, they very pointedly did not use that against Sauron.
yeah.
Sid says Cursed Bag of Holding. Hey, we actually talked about that earlier this stream. There's a bag of devouring, which will devour you if you reach your hand inside. It's pretty neat. But yeah, that was a pretty efficient episode. I think obviously adding curses to existing magical items a little bit simpler to talk about than like a full magical item, and like determining whether or not the curse is worth it and stuff.
Yeah, I do think this is a good example of how easy it is to just modify some of the items that you can find in the DMG as well.
As a DM, never be afraid of just making some small modifications. Like, it doesn't have to be a curse either. Like, you can literally take an item, say like the oil sharpness, for instance. Instead of cursing it, just make it like +1. Then it's like a viable item early game that doesn't break your game. It's like, oh, it's a pretty nice thing to have. Maybe someone who like does merchanting for military makes these potions and you can get them reliably. They wouldn't necessarily break too much. Or like, I mean, you could do so many things. Close to displacement. What if it didn't give you disadvantage? What if it didn't give monsters disadvantage on attacks, but instead, you could, if a creature hit you, you could like become invisible to them for a round or something.
Can you let Adam read my Sun Sword?
Oh yeah.
If he can read right now, I don't know if he's busy.
If he can read, no, he cannot read.
Adam, if you can hear us, please read the curse that Zach has set upon your Sun Sword, your beloved Sun Sword.
The apps.
In the meantime, I'm proud of everybody's curses here today. I mean, like, I think we definitely did a good job, and even Justin, just don't get discouraged, man. That was totally fine. Curse, like,
I was just like sitting there. I like had half of it typed up, and I'm like, I was like, I can't fucking figure out how to make this curse like feel like I'm trying to get what I'm trying to give off here.
I have a very important task that I want you to try and do in the future, Justin. And this isn't me just like grilling you, but it's just like a helpful thing. If you're
It's not grilling me, I don't believe it for one fucking second. Then,
if you have a hard time focusing on an idea and making it work, try another idea. Like, try something else for a bit, and that will refresh the cogs and make you feel like you're actually making. Or when you get back to it, you might find that that's easier to do. But in the meantime, you also get to be productive and make other things. So like, I do that a lot. I do that a lot when we do these shows. Yeah. That like, I make multiple things, and like I might get stuck on something, and then I'm like, I'll work on this thing instead, and I get that done. I'm like, I go back to the original thing. I'm like, oh shit, it's so much clearer to me now.
Yeah, I get that. It was mostly that I just couldn't come up with like curses for other items. Like I was just like looking at different items, and I was like, I can't think of a curse with that. I was like, I'd like look at like the armor of invulnerability, and I'm like,
all right. So I have a piece of advice for you. This isn't me grilling you. This is me just trying to give you some guidance.
Okay.
Stop being an asshole to yourself.
That's not me being an asshole to myself. I just couldn't legitimately come up with something.
Yeah, but like, I mean, the way that you're narrating this makes it sound like you're scrolling through the match, like, nah. Like, you know, sit down for a second, just look at it and be like, maybe if I give this more than a few seconds of thought, I can really think of something.
Do you know how much time I have at work to just sit down and think about stuff? I had a list of items.
Is it a lot or a little? Because I thought it was a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
You're making it sound like it's a little.
I was scrolling through my phone like earlier today, like looking through different items. Like, all right, do I have an idea? I was like, what can I do with this? Nah, I don't like that curse.
Adam says, I present so many half-ass ideas here, Justin. We'd love to see your half-ass ideas.
Yeah, a lot of mine are too. And honestly, those
my
ideas
suggestions
lend to more like discussions.
All of my ideas are fully fleshed and perfect. So,
and we don't talk about his very long.
We're like,
which is totally why I.
Shawn brings the good examples here. Okay, the rest of us are not here for that.
The rest of us are here to bring shitty ideas that the rest of us can grill until we figure out how to make it perfect. Nothing
That's why
less.
I want to add a saving throw to this Swan Secrets, because I didn't think about giving it to an NPC, which is super smart. I
was immediately breaks your item.
yeah. I was debating whether to give it a save, and I was like, no. If you chose to use the wand, you chose to have this curse affect you. But yeah, just adding that. If I didn't have this last secret, it wouldn't be a big deal, or this last line. But this last line, I think, definitely warrants a save. But yeah, that was a fun episode. Very simple stuff. We do have to decide what we're doing next week.
Do we?
Do we?
What? What do you mean?
Are we even all gonna be around next week?
Do we have more than 2 people missing?
No, I don't know.
Or
I just
more
mean,
than one
like,
person?
in general, is the world going to end before next week?
That's
Fucking
true,
hope so.
I had not considered that. What types of things have we not done? We just did items. We just did a subclasses. We just did monsters.
It's been a few weeks since we've done
Adam
spells,
will
right?
not be here next.
It has been a few weeks since we've done spells. It's true.
We
What
don't
are
have
some of our
anything on
discussed
here.
things?
Yeah, we don't have anything on here for spells. Discussed what?
Oh, we do. We have. I don't know who wrote it this way, but enhanced or grown up versions of existing spells. We could talk about the advanced magic missile that Adam and Justin made.
Yeah.
We could try that.
Finish them?
There's some examples you could look at. There's greater fine steed. There's all the
I'm gonna make an advanced healing spirit.
No.
Oh God.
I ban you from doing that.
There's the resurrection spells. They all pretty much go up in tier. There's fireball to delayed fireball would it be an example that counts. There's stuff like greater invisibility to invisibility, greater restoration to lesser restoration, even though it's not really a strict upgrade because they do completely different things for some reason.
That makes it easy.
But yeah,
you can do
there's
spells that are upgrades that do a completely different thing.
All right, well, no one is allowed to do that. Do not make advanced versions of spells that do completely different things. Advanced Dimension Door, that's actually very interesting.
Damn it, Sid!
Level 8 Dimension Door. Or I will say this as well. You don't have to come with an enhanced or grown-up version. Maybe come with a very interesting upscaled version of an existing spell, like for a higher level spell slot.
Ones that don't have an existing upscale for them.
Yeah, but it has to be an interest. Don't just fucking pick an item and say, or pick a spell and be like, oh yeah, it just does more damage as it levels up. Just if it has an interesting higher level effect, sort of like how Remove Curse says that if it's cast 5th level or higher, it's permanent.
Higher numbers are interesting, Shawn.
Numbers make my lizard brain go burr. Oh, I've got an idea.
That sounds like a fun little thing. And like I said, we'll talk about your guys' new magic missile that you made.
Hell yeah!
5-mile range dimension door. I think you're just describing teleport.
No, because you can. No.
You're right. It's nerfed teleport.
Teleport's a wild spell. I was reading it.
Teleport
is wild. It's like, how well do you know this location? You could not end up anywhere close to it.
No, it's totally different. All right. Well, that'll be it for us today. You'll see us next week. And on Friday, we are gonna start posting things on social media again, starting with things on this episode because I want to keep things as recent as possible. We will be posting something every day is my goal. Because it's the only way we'll ever catch up to all the stuff that we've put out. The last thing I'll probably post is probably the oldest thing that we haven't posted, which is the Hemoturge. We'll see though, because I'm thinking about doing it going backwards, but I might do it most recent and then oldest until we get the most recent and then likewise. But we'll see. The YouTube videos are up, so if you check the YouTube videos to check out our VODs, which are not on the Twitch channel, you totally can. They will be updated to include links to PDFs once everything's been finalized and stuff, because normally I do that. But they do have timestamps and stuff, so you can navigate them more quickly if you want to find our discussion on certain things. But yeah, the Hemoturge video is 3 hours long. It is our longest video by far.
Fuck the Hemoturge.
If you like Zach, he's not in that one, unfortunately. What'd you say,
Fuck
Justin?
Zach. I said fuck the Hemoturge. This message was brought to you by Duelist Gang.
Wow. Discord win? God damn it, Sid. Yes, we will eventually make a Discord. I don't know. I don't even know how to best approach making a Discord. I don't know how to do that stuff. I know it's simple and it just takes time, but like I've tried to take time. I don't know. I just suck at it. I'm like Justin. I beat up my ideas too quickly.
Everybody, as a last word that I want to say, generalized to anybody, stop beating yourself up so much.
Take your own fucking advice.
To everyone. Yeah, no, that includes me for sure. Stop beating yourself up so much.
Drink more water.
That is true. Drink more water.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Give me a sec here. While I figure out the word of the day. For
cowardice.
Adam.
He put cowardice. It's cowardice.
Yeah, Adam picked cowardice. Cowardice is the word of the day. Cowardice is
stop beating yourself up.
It's being Adam.
one's propensity to be a coward. I feel like Adam probably was using a different definition when he used cowardice, given the way that his item works. But maybe not. Maybe that is what he meant. I don't know. Anyway,
only time will tell. And you know what else time tells? Tell him, Shawn.
Time tells. Wait, what?
Say the thing.
Say the fucking thing.
That which is lost must be found, and that which is found must be remembered.
In time,
right? Yeah, that's the phrase. I'm pretty sure.
Well, bye.